Hey, I'm Vicky from the UK Friday Hip Hop Report, and we're going to be debating whether the new school owe anything to the old school.
I personally think they do. Hip hop is pretty much the only music where people don't feel a need to pay some kind of homage to their predecessors. If you were to take an 18-year-old reggae artist, you're never going to hear him turn around and say, well, who the fuck is Bob Marley? I don't give a fuck.
I don't think anyone owes anything to anyone apart from respect, and that's for everything.
Respect and acknowledgement.
Everyone's got a different set of artists that they would say, you know what, you got to pay respect to him. Who's this do I go by?
Can I just ask, by the way, who's the Bob Marley of the hip hop over here?
It's got to be different for everybody. Yeah, I've just used Bob Marley as a random general artist. Even bashment artists talking about Bougie or Bounty or whoever, and you're never going to hear a new school artist diss those artists.
I don't think that a lot of these new artists diss the older artists. They may not be aware too much, but then
no,
they have to be.
Not even as artists, even the newer fans, to the point, like I teach kids, and when I'm trying to show them about music, they come, I don't give a fuck about, that's old music. I don't think other musics do that. You can find a 15-year-old rock fan and he's going to know about Led Zeppelin.
I don't think so, you know, bro, because I have a few friends in rock bands and that. When I talk to the kids at their shows and that, I'm not deeply involved with rock like they are. I mention shit that I think they should know, and then they're like, no, when this is them. Listen to Linkin Park.
The internet has been like a gift and a curse because it makes everything so quick and easy that you don't really need to see what comes before it. But at the same time, it's crazy that these kids don't learn about it, because when I listened to Nas Illmatic, and Nas was talking about Rakim was his favourite rapper or whatever, it made me think this album's amazing. I want to go back and learn more about this Rakim guy that he's talking about. I had to do that by going to record stores and trying to find out what record stores stocked Rakim albums. You got the internet there. You could just go on YouTube and put Rakim and it's there. It's so easy for these kids to do it, but because there's so much information there, it's almost like an overload.
I agree with T. It is about respect at the end of the day. There is a certain pattern that music needs to go through. There needs to be people before you so that you can do what you're doing without any of the issues that previous artists might have had to have gone through, especially like the music politics. So people are kind of disregarding that and saying that wasn't important or that wasn't needed. Yes, it was. Otherwise, you couldn't have the career that you have now.
That's just disrespectful.
For an old school rapper to turn around and totally say, I am responsible for you.
That's bullshit.
What is the new artist supposed to do? Are they supposed to make songs every now and then and say, yeah, it's big up
No, what I'm saying is you as an artist to turn around and say, everything that came before me meant nothing, was non-existent. Everyone is influenced by something. Yeah. If you look at hip hop wouldn't have started if it didn't have people like James Brown, Michael Jackson, because essentially it came from sampling that music right there. So for any hip hop artist to turn around and say, forget James Brown, that's a disrespect.
Exactly. If they're going to acknowledge them, what format does that take? Do they cite their influences on the back of their album, or do they put it in their lyrics? Is that maybe too far?
I don't think it's necessary for them to be like praising them every minute, every chance that they get. Take the whole Nicki Minaj and Lil' Kim thing. Lil' Kim, she took it way too far. In the beginning, Nicki Minaj was saying she was one of my influences. You can see it in the way that she dresses, in the way that she spits. Everything about Nicki is Kim.
Nicki raps a lot better than Kim.
Whether or not you like her, to me that's irrelevant.
This is quite a big example of paying respect to elders as well. Anyone who was listening to Lil' Kim when she came out knew that Lil' Kim was a bit of a joke. Biggie wrote all her raps. She wasn't looked at as a serious artist. She made good records or whatever. She was Biggie's cash cow, basically. Whereas Nicki can genuinely rap. She writes all her own stuff. Now what you've got is a younger generation who cite back to Lil' Kim, and they think it makes it seem like they know more than they do by saying, no, fuck Nicki, I like Kim, she was the original. When in actual fact, anyone who was there knew that really Lil' Kim was a bit of a joke at the time.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, if Kim didn't come, Nicki couldn't happen.
Yeah, that's image-wise though.
Whether or not she raps, she just could not happen because people would not be prepared to listen to her. It doesn't matter how great she was. You need to have something to come first, so it makes it easier for other people to come through.
Yeah, no, I agree.
She was hard though.
Biggie wrote hard lyrics for her.
But when Biggie wrote the lyrics or not, she was hard, man. The first album she had the sex thing going on. That was like porno to me.
Yeah, of course.
I had sex like that.
She was hard, but there is actually another side to this which you touched on before, which is the education, and it doesn't just come from the artist, it comes from making people know about music, which comes to interviews, it comes to like record labels.
In this country, it comes a lot to the DJs. Hip hop in this country is very specific. The way it's gone from one extreme leap to the other, a lot of the new school of hip hop, I'd say Giggs was the first big artist to kind of break through that real new wave of rap. There were artists obviously beforehand who were part of a different scene, and a lot of the newer scene don't really see the older scene that came before. They're probably not even aware that there was a Skinny Man, that there was a Rodney P, that there was a Maestro or whatever. The DJs who are championing this new sound of rap, they know full well about this older generation of rap, which they, for the the most part, completely disregard. So I think the DJs have to take a little bit more responsibility.
You've got to play what the fucking people want to hear.
As a DJ, you're a tastemaker.
If you go to a spot, yeah, and you play a jam and no one's dancing, yeah, motherfuckers looking at you like, yo, you can try and teach me shit, but I don't fucking feel this shit. I can genuinely just not like something. I didn't have to listen to Motown to fucking like the hip hop I like. I just fucking like the hip hop. That made me then think, you know what? I wonder how this stuff. That's just my own general inquisitiveness. I don't blame anyone that doesn't want to go and find shit out. You like what you fucking like.
I don't think that some of these new rappers and stuff that are coming out are stupid. If they hear something 10 times in a row on the radio, or they hear it once or whatever, they'll like it if they like it.
I think generally fans can be brainwashed to like shit. And look at the shit.
You want to be the brainwasher.
Right now, who's the brainwasher? The people who are brainwashing people with music and are playing stuff 10 times in a row. The radio programmers at whatever radio station do not understand the culture. Now the DJs who have an understanding of the culture and know what quality is, they're essentially tastemakers. Because people are brainwashed. People like what they think fits into their image. It's like, oh, I'm tough, I'm from road, innit? So therefore, I'm gonna listen to artists X, Y, Z because they're tough and they're from road. If you're told that actually no, if you want to be this is what you should like, and as long as it's coming from a tastemaker that actually understands the culture and understands the music.
Do you think if every DJ rinsed Motown, maybe in a month or two, everyone will be into Motown?
Definitely. Soulja Boy's in the charts. Soulja Boy's not good. Lil B is not good.
The generation of kids that might actually like
Lil B, like it because it's been pushed to them and because they think it's cool to like it.
But we're at the stage here, for something to be pushed, it has to have its own cultural street buzz. But that's the way labels are dealing with shit now. Like, how does that buzz get created? It gets created by the own fucking artists making music in his whole community.
Where did that initial thing come from where they think this is what I'm supposed to like? That artist in the first place who made that music, why did he make that music? It came from somewhere.
Maybe it's his initial surroundings, maybe it's his friends, maybe it's the
No, it's not. Look at UK rap. 90% of it is not your surroundings. You can lie all you want, but look at the murder rate. It doesn't add up with what you're talking about. So it's not your surroundings. You've made a conscious decision to say, I'm gonna rap like this because I want to present myself in this way. It's conditioning.
Do you think that the older generation should expect anything from the younger generation? Any name checks in interviews?
No. Expect nothing.
I've got a theory on why the older generation hate younger rappers and are bitter about younger rappers. Because I think what it is, a lot of the time, there are cases where you do have kind of newer rappers who really, really look up to the older guys. And when they kind of come in the door, the older guys treat them like shit. And if you've really got a lot of respect for somebody and they treat you like shit, it's easy to actually hate them even more than what you would have done.
From the perspective of these older people who have influenced the younger generation, do you think that when you create something, you expect praise for it for years and years and years to come if you know it's good?
You're a cock if you think if you're an MC and you think a younger generation owes you something, I honestly think you're a cock. You need to look at yourself in the mirror, try and work out what you're about, innit? Because that's bullshit.
That's very narcissistic.
Yeah, exactly. If someone in the fucking language wouldn't be fucking talking. Like, how far do we have to go back and fucking praise people down the fucking line?
If someone is directly disrespecting you, then you within your full right to answer. But to sit there and say that every single person that comes after you has to, every day of their life, just be like...
We're talking about people paying homage and stuff like that, but a lot of these younger generations, you know, people like 50 Cent is their old school. They know a bit about 50 Cent, they may not know a lot about Rakim and whatnot, but 50 Cent is their old school. If that's who they feel like they want to pay homage to, then who are we to say, oh, you need to look at this person?
I agree.
But also, how much has the older generation actually taught the younger generation about previous music? Because if they don't know, they don't know. And that's where this kind of don't care attitude comes from. Every single musician I've ever come across always digs in their crates and has a look at things that have come before them, and that's their influence. You know, I think it's very arrogant to sit there and think that you just came up with these ideas and these concepts, especially with how music is now. There's nothing completely and totally original now.
Yeah. My problem with hip hop though is that every other music, it's cool to be passionate about your music and love the art form of your music. Within hip hop, it's cool to not give a fuck. I don't even rap. I'm not even a rapper. Like, I'm a roadman and I just happen to be good at rap. I don't even care about this. What that does, it disrespects the culture, it disrespects the art form, it disrespects the craft, and it's also bullshit. Here within the UK, we worked hard to have somewhat of a voice, so I think it should be acknowledged by the younger crowd. They shouldn't constantly name check artists. They don't have to sit there and write songs for them and send flowers to them, all the rest of them, but there needs to be an element of acknowledgement. The same way within the States, people acknowledge that, yeah, if it wasn't for people like Kool Herc who actually put in a lot of work and overcame a lot of adversity, they wouldn't have established the culture.
People in this country know enough about old school hip hop in the UK.
But does it matter? Is it not more a case of, you know, roots versus roots? Roots with an OU. You appreciate the route that it's taken as opposed to the route that it's come from, and it's a different thing, but it's still an influence.
Yeah.
It's something that evolves, it's something that progresses.
I think it does matter. Is it progressing or is it digressing? Musically.
You do need to remember the roots that it has come through, because if you start to forget it, then there's a chance of you getting a bit slack and making the machine of the music industry come in, take over, pick it apart and present it in a way that it just shouldn't be presented.
So what about the older generation who've been doing this for a long time? They've paved the way for people who've come in and become very successful, but they're not finished. They've still got more to do and it's more difficult now for them.
I think it depends on the quality of their music and how relevant they are to today's audience. There are genuine artists out there who still make music that is relevant, and if they can't get a look in, then I feel like then we have a problem.
The younger generation that's out there buying music and stuff and that's really trying to educate themselves with the stuff that's out there, they just don't identify with the older artists. They identify with people that are more their age or may have gone to their school.
Why then would they then identify with Tim Westwood? He's like 50.
I don't think they identify with Tim Westwood.
They identify with
what he's bringing.
If you're an artist and you're over the age of say 25, it should be over for you.
If you're in your 30s, my little brother's probably not going to pay too much attention to you unless you're a huge superstar in America, unless you're Rick Ross, unless you're Jay-Z.
If you really look at it, Ross, Jay-Z, Kanye, all the big stars in America are in their mid-30s.
They appreciating the fact that it's the music and it's amazing, whether or not the person's 17 or 27.
The other thing about the States,
different over here.
Sorry to cut you out. I don't know if it's just because the music's amazing though. A lot of the times when some of these artists come out that are quite old, they make themselves seem like they're the top dude. So people are like, yeah, I want to be that guy. We don't have anybody over here that is in their 30s rapping that looks like...
Wiley's the closest kind of cult figure where people are like, they're still drawn to him like that and he's in his 30s. The other thing is, this is a massive cultural difference, is that when I lived in America, you can see hip-hop is something that spans generations. So when I go to a hip-hop party, there's people from 21 to 45 and the music will reflect that. They'll play all the new stuff and they'll go right back to the 80s, yeah? Hip-hop here is still very much viewed as, overall as a country, a silly little kids thing. So even when I meet people and I'll say, yeah, I'm 32 and I DJ or whatever, they're like, what, you're still doing all that hip-hop business? You can be 45 and a DJ and it's acceptable. You know, you don't have to be a 12-year-old to enjoy it.
The media like to pick up on what kids are doing. Like, even if you do find a skinny man who's in his 30s now, the media don't want to pay attention to that because they're like, oh no, they assume kids are not going to be interested based on age. I hear it all the time. We need to find out what the kids are into. It's like, shit, like, they're into more than
kids are into other kids. Let's get more kids in. Maybe you're underestimating these kids. Maybe they're not being introduced to artists that are over a certain age group. That it could be amazing.
People like what they're told to like.
Jay-Z can come here and all these kids are like, oh my God. And as we said, these are big men.
Look at where they are in their life though.
Talking about 15-year-olds, they'll look up to someone who's 35. Outside of music, they'll look at whoever's making money, whoever's driving that car, whatever, they just won't do it in music, but they'll do it outside of that. So it is what you're saying, it's where they are in their life. If we had a 35-year-old hip-hop star right now who was living in a mansion and driving around in a Maybach, iced out constantly, the kids would still relate to him because they relate to that dream as opposed to relating to the age thing. If you've got no hookups whatsoever, boy, life's tough, innit? These are the breaks. You have to work harder.
I've got food in my fridge right now, but there's people in fucking Africa that haven't. So they gotta fucking work harder than I have to get food. I didn't fucking make those rules. 50 was fucking masculine, but he still fucking conquered the world with his rap. So
Kanye's another one. Don't get me started on Kanye, because if we want to talk about emo rappers, yeah, Kanye's killing it.